Hello friends, while the war between Russia and Ukraine has not shown any signs of cooling down, there are quite a few notable events going on in the world. Some countries have taken advantage of the dispersion of the international community to do what they want. In which, China has conducted extensive military exercises in the South China Sea, North Korea is suspected of resuming nuclear weapons development activities, and Japan has just asserted its sovereignty over the Kuril Islands currently controlled by Russia. And today, we will learn about this event. Who exactly do the Kuril Islands belong to? Why is Japan making a statement at this point? First, we will understand the source of this contention. In ancient times, the Kuril Islands were inhabited by the Ainu people. Their life was quite peaceful with hunting and gathering. Until the 18th century, during the reign of Queen Catherine II, Russian explorers went south, conquering a vast land stretching from the Kamchatka Peninsula to the Kuril Islands, forcing the Ainu to learn language and naturalization of Russia. Since 1795, Catherine II turned the Kuril into an archipelago that held prisoners and allowed immigrants to live. At the same time, the Japanese also carried out exploration to the north, leading to a dispute between the two empires, but due to many household chores, they were not convenient to fight because the islands did not play an important role. By 1855, the Russians began to look for a trading opportunity with the wealthy Japanese Empire. To launch, they ceded 4 islands south of Kuril as a gift under the Treaty of Shimoda. In 1875, they continued to sign the Treaty of St. Petersburg. Accordingly, Japan ceded to Russia Sakhalin Island. In return, they were given control of the entire Kuril Islands. In 1904, the Russian and Japanese empires were both at their peak, and had many ambitions to expand their territories to Manchuria and the Korean Peninsula, both claiming it's my piece of cake, and they went to war. As a result, Russia was defeated and the Pacific Fleet was no longer able to fight. In 1905, the Treaty of Portsmouth on ending the war was signed. Russia had to cede the southern half of Sakhalin Island to Japan. From the late 19th century to before World War II broke out, the Japanese Empire was like an undefeated god of war. They successively conquered the island of Taiwan, the Korean Peninsula, and the Manchuria region. If their greed had bottomed out, today's Japan could be much stronger. However, calling it an empire, everyone has ambitions. Japan entered World War II and lost everything it had won. The Russian Empire inherited by the Soviet Union took back the entire Kuril Islands and South Sakhalin. Although Russia has control, there is a dispute that has taken place. Before the Soviet Union entered the war in the Pacific, they made a condition for their allies including Britain and the United States. After the victory, you must force Japan to return the Kuril Islands and southern Sakhalin to us. The US, UK and their allies agreed. However, in 1951, at the signing of a peace treaty with Japan with the participation of 51 countries, when the Soviet Union asked for a text to add a clause recognizing their sovereignty over the Kuril Islands and southern Sakhalin, but it was not accepted. The reason is very funny because Japan did not agree. A defeated country that had the right to speak, the Soviet delegation left and did not sign the treaty. Also because of this, theoretically between the Soviet Union inherited by Russia and Japan is still at war because the two sides have not signed a peace treaty. Thus, after signing and re-signing treaties, at present Sakhalin and the entire Kuril Islands are in fact still controlled by Russia. After many unsuccessful verbal demands, Japan gave up its claim to Sakhalin and only claimed the southern part of the Kuril Islands. This is a place with abundant aquatic resources because it is located in the middle of the intersection of two hot and cold ocean currents. However, plenty of fish is not a problem. Southern Kuril is one of the few regions of eastern Russia that does not freeze in winter, so a military base has been established here since Soviet Union times to carry out defense as well as protect ships going to the Pacific Ocean. And that is also the reason why Japan tries to find every opportunity to reclaim its northern territory. The Russian military base right next to the house makes them worry and lose sleep at night. On March 8, at a time when Russia and Ukraine were entering a tense period of war, the Japanese foreign minister boldly declared to the media, Southern Kuril is a special territory and an integral part of Japan. Why did they choose this moment to speak up? In many previous negotiations with Russia, Japan always received the result of keeping the status quo. Therefore, this can be considered as an opportunity to open up a new ray of hope. Since Putin ordered an attack on Ukraine, Japan has been among the countries most eager to punish Russia. In addition to the general orders issued from the West, they also have separate sanctions. the heaviest of which is restricting the import and export of most important commodities traded with Russia. This action has three purposes. One is to please the US ally, the second is to oppose the war, and the third is to want Russia to make concessions at the negotiating table. After the end of the war, Russia's economy will certainly be in crisis. If they want to reduce the damage, the best way is to make concessions. However, given the importance of southern Kuril to the east, taking a step back would be like losing a part of one's body, not to mention it would set a precedent for other countries to press Russia when it felt that Russia's position was weakened. So, let's wait and see what Putin's decision will be. Video ends here, thank you for liking it, bye bye and see you again.